What is up, guys? Let's do the damn thing. Just a guy on my lunch break, back with you, aka Corey. If you've not, please hit that subscribe button. If you've watched a couple of my videos, it's a free service, so that's your payment. Just hit the subscribe button. That's all I ask. I want to go ahead and get started on a couple of people's questions. I got a few good ones yesterday, questions and or comments, and there were a couple that I wanted to address. Man, this AC is kicking like Bruce Lee. Kicking like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. In case you guys had never heard that one. Anyway, I do everything here, man. I do jokes, you know. Should have been a comedian. Not really. But anyway, I got a comment from @JaredBond68. This is on one of the videos that I did several months back called Kratom's Tipping Point Explained. And I've been very clear on here about how I have at times had people pop onto the channel and be like, oh man, Kratom's a botanical. You don't get withdrawals from Kratom. You know, Kratom's natural. It's a supplement. This, I mean, I've had people say all kinds of stuff. And my response to that has always been, while that may be true, that Kratom is a botanical, I mean, it's a plant. So, you know, no one's arguing that it's natural. No one's arguing that it's a botanical. The supplement part of it, I mean, that's just semantics. I mean, you're kind of mincing words there. You know, what is it supplementing? I mean, your mood, I guess. I guess it's supplementing your mood. For some people, I guess it could be considered a mood enhancer, which I guess if we're sticking to strictly definitions of words here, then I guess that's a supplement. Supplements your mood, right? I mean, you know, if we own the information, we can twist it however we want to, right? So let's call it a supplement. I've always said that, yes, it's natural. Yes, it's botanical. Yes, some could consider it a supplement. With that said, that does not mean that it is not addictive, and that does not mean that it cannot or will not give you physical withdrawals. The reason I made this video, and the comment that I'm getting ready to respond to was actually a new comment that I got on that particular video called Kratom's Tipping Point. I did this video several months back. The reason I did that video is because I had a hater guy come on. Obviously had drank about a gallon of Haterade and was like, please, man, you know, exploiting Kratom for likes is weak. It's natural, man. It's a botanical, you know. And because I was, you know, have been explaining that you can get withdrawals and stuff like that, and get physically dependent upon and addicted to Kratom, and this person was just being a complete hater, and so I did this response video called Kratom's Tipping Point Explained, talking about the fact that if you just take it every once in a while, you're not taking that much, or if you're putting several days and stretches in between the times that you're doing the Kratom, and if you're not dosing regularly on a regular basis, or either you weren't taking much when you did, or either you didn't do it for a long period of time, whatever the case is, then you may be able to stop and not have any physical withdrawals to speak of. However, if you're doing the opposite of those things, meaning using regularly, using it in high amounts for long periods of time, that you're undoubtedly going to have some sort of develop some sort of physical dependency, which means your body will go through some physical withdrawals when you go to stop, right? Well, I had someone else pop on the channel, and that's the way it is when you do a channel like this, and especially when it's something that is a very controversial subject. You know, and people get very passionate about drugs, how they're using them. A lot of people want to paint a certain picture of Kratom so that it gives them an excuse to continue using them without them feeling some sort of, immeasurable guilt for the fact that, okay, well, I'm a drug addict now because I'm using Kratom. So some people try to downplay it and give reasons to justify it and give reasons as to why it's not so bad, so that they can then turn around and point to themselves and say, see, it's not that bad, so I must not be a drug addict. It must not be a drug. It must not be an addictive drug. So it's okay that I'm taking it every day, all day. Right? And you guys know me. I'm not a Kratom hater, okay? And I'm not one of those people that land on either side of the fence. I think some people need it. I think it does have some benefits. And if you're a person that has never developed any sort of addiction to opiates, I think some people are just hardwired to not get addicted to opiates. They just don't. My wife's one of those people. She can take Kratom on and off as much as she wants to, and she's been dabbling in it, taking it kind of on and off for several years now. This woman has never gotten addicted, never gotten dependent, has never developed any sort of withdrawal, any sort of physical withdrawal if we had to go a few days without it, whatever. But with that, I will say she never was taking very much of it, and she didn't take it multiple times per day. My wife, if anything, might take it once per day in the morning, have some with her coffee or something like that, and then she's the kind that wouldn't take any for the rest of the day. And then in the evenings, when she's hanging out and relaxing or something, she'd drink a wine cooler or maybe like 2 beers or something like that. My wife is one of those people that is really good about moderating everything and doing everything in moderation, and there's people out there like that. To those people, if you're one of those people, what do I have to say to you? A person who's been addicted to opiates and who absolutely expressed a physical addiction with Kratom, how could I ever say something to you? What are you doing? You can't take that. I mean, you keep taking that, you're going to be this and you're going to be that. No. Just because I did, and just because I developed a physical dependence and an addiction to something, doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna, right? And everybody's different. I concede to that. Everyone's different. This comment here proves it further, okay? And this guy says, some people don't get withdrawals. I know this because I myself took large doses multiple times a day for over 4 years. And one time quit and was expecting to withdraw, but nothing. So I'm giving you guys time to think about it. For all of you out there that have been through an addiction to Kratom, or have taken Kratom on a regular basis at high amounts and have attempted to come off at some point and have experienced withdrawals, I want you to hear this one more time, and then I want you to just think about it. Some people don't get withdrawals. I know this because I took large doses multiple times per day for over 4 years, and one time quit, was expecting to withdraw, but nothing. Okay, so before I answer this directly or respond to this directly, I want to say to this guy, the one that left the comment, first off, thanks for the comment. Everyone's opinions on here is welcome. And if you're being honest and you're being completely truthful, then it's not really an opinion, is it? It's fact for you. If it's the truth that you didn't experience any withdrawals, then I can't really call this an opinion, right? You didn't get any withdrawals. You didn't have any withdrawals, so it's not opinion anymore. It's an actual fact. It is reality of what happened to you, and what happened with you when you went to come off of it. But I do want to point out to Jared, this is the guy who left the comment, my reason for leaving that comment or making that video about Kratom's tipping point, it's not because I had an individual who claimed that there were no withdrawals associated with long-term heavy use of Kratom, although he was stating that. Just for the record, he was saying that. He was, oh, withdrawals. He was calling me out and trying to call me out for getting on here saying that there are withdrawals associated with long-term heavy use of Kratom. That's what he was trying to do. But with that, he was also an a-hole about it. Get it right, man. You know, being on here campaigning against Kratom for likes is weak, bro. I mean, he was saying stuff like that to me, just being a straight jackass about it, first off, right? So that's the reason I did a whole video about it and was putting him in his place, because just because you had a particular experience with something doesn't mean someone else is going to have that same experience. Now, this guy, Jared, he said, some people don't get withdrawals. I didn't get withdrawals. I was taking it large doses multiple times a day for over 4 years. When I quit, I was expecting to get a withdrawal, but nothing. So I will say, first off, he was respectful. Now, I want to show you guys how this works, okay? I don't agree with this statement. And with this statement, the first thing I would want to do is ask him multiple more questions, because everyone that I've ever talked to and anyone that I've ever had experience with that used large amounts on a regular basis for a long period of time of Kratom absolutely had physical withdrawals when they quit. Does that mean that there are not some special cases out there of people who are just kind of built differently, you know, physiologically, anatomically, however you want to look at it? I mean, I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure that's the case. There's 12 billion people on this earth. I'm pretty sure I don't know all of them, you know, and I'm sure that there's a large varying spectrum of, you know, how people's brains and nervous systems and central nervous systems are set up. I'm sure there are a lot of variants within that, the scope of, you know, how people were made, how people were built, how people's bodies respond to certain things, including substances or drugs, whatever you want to call it, right? So first off, I will say, Jared, thank you for being respectful. And this just goes to show right here, as long as the person is saying something in a respectful way, even if I have doubts about what they're saying and the validity of what they're saying, I have nothing but respect for you, bro. You were respectful. You didn't come on here hating on me. You didn't come over here hating on anybody else for trying to give Kratom a bad name. And when that's not at all what I'm doing, that's not my purpose on this channel. I would have a lot of follow-up questions for you regarding this, and one of those main ones, as you said, I took large doses multiple times a day for over 4 years, and I quit one time, was expecting withdrawal, but nothing. My question is, you said I quit one time. I noticed that key word, one time. I quit one time. So what that says to me is, he didn't say, well, I was taking for large doses for 4 years, you know, I was taking for a long time and I quit and I didn't have any withdrawals. He didn't say that. He said, I quit one time. One time. So what that says to me is the quit was what? It was temporary, right? It was temporary. So my next question with that would be, how long did you quit for? You know, did you quit for a day? Did you quit for 2 days? Did you quit for a week? Did you quit for 2 weeks? And that matters. That matters. Because if you were taking Kratom every day for a long period of time and in large amounts, and you quit and you stayed off of it for 2 whole weeks before taking it again, and then you can sit and honestly, sincerely, transparently say to me, I didn't have any withdrawals at all during that 2-week period. I didn't have any withdrawals. Then I would say, as long as you're telling the truth, unequivocally, undoubtedly, people are just different. And obviously, it is, in fact, the truth that not everyone gets withdrawals. I would absolutely admit and concede to that. Let's flip that coin over now. Let's look at the opposite end of that spectrum, the opposite side of that scenario. Let's say you quit and you only stayed off for a day or two. And during those couple of days, you're like, damn, this is surprising. I was expecting to get a lot of withdrawals. Shit, I think I'm good. And then on the third day, you started taking again. If it was that sort of scenario, then I think that there's an explanation for why you didn't get withdrawals. Kratom is one of those things that because of its half-life, it builds up in your system, right? It builds up in your cells, and your cells begin to store excess amounts of this kratom, especially if you're taking large amounts, especially if you've been taking it for a long period of time, especially if you're, for example, sedentary, especially if you don't drink a lot of water, especially if you don't take a lot of vitamins and minerals or eat a lot of fiber and your metabolism's rather slow because of all of these lifestyle factors, right? If that's the case and you only quit for a couple of days, then you probably didn't get any withdrawals. But if you gave it till the third day or the fourth day or the fifth day, I guarantee you they would have eventually started to creep up. Because if you've been taking a large amount for a long time and you're somewhat of a sedentary person, you're not extremely active, you don't stay really hydrated, drinking tons of water all the time, you don't eat tons of fiber, you just kind of sit around and just eat processed, just whatever kind of falls on your plate. Oh shit, damn. A pizza just fell on my plate. Well, I guess that's what I'm having for dinner. There's people like that. And, if you're one of those people, then it's going to take that kratom a few days to edge out of your system, which means that your body is still going to be working through and using the stores of kratom that you've stored up in your cells, right? And in that scenario, if you've been taking for a long time and using a higher amount, then that high amount is going to stack in your system. It's going to build up in your system, right? It's the same thing. It's, a similar, different, but similar situation with like marijuana. People wonder why, why is it that I can be smoking marijuana? I'm a heavy user and I quit. And then 7 days later, I take a piss test and I've still got marijuana in my system. Like, why is that? It's because your body holds on to the half-life of marijuana is extremely long. And if you're a regular, consistent user, then your body stores that marijuana. It stores it up, stores that THC up in your cells. And then even after you stop, it takes a while for your body to work through those stores of marijuana and get it eventually tapered down. It's like a natural tapering process, which is why the physical withdrawals from marijuana are much less, if any at all, because your body has a natural way of kind of tapering through it because of the half-life of marijuana. You get what I'm saying? So it matters. You said I quit one time and was expecting withdrawals, but nothing. How long did you quit for? And again, if you quit for a week, if you quit for 2 weeks, several weeks, and you never received any sort of withdrawals, never had any instances where you're like, damn, I feel kind of down, I feel kind of sad, or I'm physically, my stomach's a little upset, or I'm kind of getting the cold chills, my temperature's a little off, I'm a little physically weak, stuff like that. If you never received any of those things, then I have one thing to say. Thank you for the comment. Obviously, you're right. Obviously, it does not affect everyone, and withdrawals do not affect everyone. Okay? But with that, I am forced to ask additional questions, and that one additional question I have, and I would love for you to actually respond to it. If you happen to catch this video here, I would love to know, how long did you quit for? And be honest. People out here who use kratom on a regular basis or have used kratom or are interested in possibly using kratom, we want to know this stuff. We want accurate information to be put out there, you know, and it is all relative. And I talk about that on here a lot. Kratom use and coming off of Kratom, you show me 100 people, Kratom use and coming off of Kratom is going to affect all 100 of those people in 100 different ways, okay? Now, there's going to be some similarities from one to the other, but there's going to be 100 different instances, 100 different ways that these people are affected, because guess what? They live 100 different lifestyles. It's that simple, you know, 100 different diets, you know, and so that's what I have to say about that. But I would love to know, and hey, bro, you know, thank you for the comment. I appreciate you saying it in a respectful way. I would like to know your response on that, and I would like to know the truth, you know. And if you come back and you're like, oh yeah, I see what you're saying. I was only off for a day or two. I'm not gonna drag you through the coals. I'm not gonna be like, see, I told you. It's not my style, bro. It's not my style. I want this to be a channel and a platform where everyone can learn, but I want it to be a complete objective learning process. I don't want it to be subjective. And just like he said here, he didn't say, oh, you're full of shit, people don't get withdrawal. Like, because he didn't get withdrawals, he didn't try to come on here and argue with me that other people get withdrawals. He was just saying, yeah, some people don't get withdrawals. I was one of those people. And that's fair. That's fair enough. I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay with that. You were respectful about it. You weren't on here trying to accuse me of telling a bunch of people that Kratom gives you withdrawals when it actually doesn't, and that sort of thing. And just because he didn't experience any withdrawals, he attributes that same fact to everyone else across the world and say, oh, well, Kratom doesn't give you withdrawals. He didn't give me withdrawals. You know, he was being intelligent about it. You know, he understands that we're dealing with different people. Everyone's experiences with it are different. And he's a perfect example of that. Obviously, you know, it looks like his experience with it was completely different than what a lot of other people have experienced. But let me know, bro. I would love to know that. I would love to know how long you actually stayed off for. You said I quit one time, so that obviously means you're probably still on it. You're taking it to this day. But I would like to know how long you quit for, because I think that matters. I think that matters as to whether you would get withdrawals during that period of time as well. But anyway, thank you for the comment, Jared. I appreciate it. I have a cousin named Jared, by the way. So you're a good company, bro. At I am not human 27 says, I'm still hanging in there, man. Day 37. Bro, I'm happy I'm off, but at the same time, just starting to get bored of being the plain Jane all the time. I miss that rush feeling, but still trying to hang in there. Man, day 37, that's amazing, bro. That's awesome. I will say to you, I am all too familiar with that plain Jane feeling. And I feel that plain Jane feeling throughout the week, every week for the past few weeks, because of that. Because I'm using it on the weekend and not using it during the week. And absolutely the boredom during the week, not being able to use the Kratom, is palpable. For those of you who don't know what that means, you can almost put your hand on it. You can almost touch it, the boredom, right? But I will say, man, if you're looking to stay off ultimately and long term, day 37 is a very, very, very good start. That's longer than I made it. I made it like 27 days, and then I actually started taking it again on the weekend when I went to that UFC event. So I think you're doing great, man. And I think it's one of those things that as you continue to stay off of it, I imagine that boredom is going to get less and less and less and less as your body and your mind starts to get accustomed to not necessarily having it all the time. You understand what I mean? So just stick with it, bro. And he says here, yo, bro, if you tried to press, I was saying yesterday that you had to have 1,000 subscribers to go live on a mobile phone, because that's what I read. And he says, and this is I am not human 27 says, have you tried to press the plus button on your YouTube app to try to go live? because I heard that you have to have 1,000 subs to go live too. But I can go live on my YouTube from my phone, and I only have about 50 subs. But it might have something else to do with it than that. Yeah, dude, I'll try that. Yeah, absolutely, I'll try it. I mean, like you said, if you've only got 50 subs and you're able to go live, then at 450 subs, you would think that wouldn't be a problem. So, yeah, maybe I'll give that a try. Maybe I'll give that a try this weekend. Are you talking about, when you say the YouTube app, you mean just the regular YouTube app? You're not talking about YouTube Studio app, right? Yeah, let me know. Are you talking about the YouTube Studio app, or are you talking about just the regular YouTube app? But I'll definitely give that a try, man. At Rick Nowak 4582 says, Corey, where you abuse other pills. I'm reading this word for word. There were a few couple of grammatical errors in this, but I'm trying to read it the best I can. But this is word for word. Corey, where you abuse other pills, opioids and such. I think you mentioned that in some other videos. If so, I don't have much faith in you controlling Kratom. I'll give it 30 days. You'll be doing it every day again. Hate to say. That is, if you were abusing opioids before. Trying not to sound like a hater here. Well, Rick, you sounded a little bit like a hater. I'm not going to lie. I get what you're saying, and I get where you're coming from with it, and I am going to answer your question. But I will say, for me, and this is the internet, I've definitely heard worse. I've definitely seen worse, and I don't hold it against you, man. If I were to say this to somebody, I would have said it something like this. Hey, man, I think I heard you mention that you used to use opioids and pills and stuff at the same time. I will say that I have a concern, if you used to abuse opioids, that you may not be able to control Kratom. Definitely pulling for you and want the best for you, but but I know that it is hard for people who are opiate addicts to control something like Kratom. But wishing you all the best. I would have said it something like that. It's the way people say it, man. You know, and I'm not on here getting butt hurt, getting my feelings hurt. This is the internet. It is what it is. This guy's a 70-year-old man. So I'm not, and I'm 47, so I'm not going to sit here and get butt hurt by something that a 70-year-old man said to me. And I'm a 47-year-old grown man. So, but, you know, it's the way people say it. I'll give it 30 days. You'll be doing it again every day. That's exactly what it says. I'll give it 30 days. You'll be doing it again every day. Okay, well, I mean, you're probably right, you know, and because I'm already thinking about it now. There's been multiple times during the week, the last few weeks, where I'm just like, man, fuck this. I'm good with just doing it three times a day, a few times a day. When I allow myself and I give myself permission to take it for its benefits every day, when I give myself permission to do that, I have no problem with controlling it to a degree. Meaning, I had no problem with taking it 3 times a day. One time in the morning, dosing up again around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then taking another dose in the evening when I got home after I exercised and did all that stuff before I went to bed. I did that for the longest time, and I had no issue with keeping that set, rigorous schedule for myself. There's one thing that I can say to you, Rick. I have never said on this channel that I will be off Kratom and will stay off of Kratom for the rest of my life. I've never said that. And there is a reason that I've never said that. Because I love Kratom. I love the effects of it. And Kratom has never taken me down. And you're not in my personal life. You know? Pills and opioids for me were a completely different ball game, in the sense of what it did to my life and what it did to me and my psyche. I mean, I was like a snowball rolling downhill, just gathering snow, you know, when I was on the pain pills. And Kratom's never done me like that. You know, I've definitely gotten to a point, especially with the extracts, where I was like, okay, this shit's getting way too expensive. And it was more about that, to be honest with you, than it ever was what it was doing to me physically or psychologically. Now, listen, I'm not trying to downplay it. I've been very vocal about the fact that Kratom can be a soul-stealing addiction, just like anything else. But, you know, I'm a person who has a million other positive things going for me in my life, and I use Kratom to enhance that, okay? I don't use it in lieu of. A lot of people have nothing positive going on in their lives, and they use Kratom in lieu of having a shitty life. You know, the Kratom is the sole reason and purpose and responsible, and it is what is solely responsible for them being able to stomach their life on a daily basis. They have a shitty life in every facet of the words, and they use Kratom to try to offset that. I don't. I use Kratom to enhance the already good and blessed life that I have. You're probably right. I wasn't too crazy about the way you said it, Rick, but no, that's a fair statement, and it's probably a correct statement by you. I have had issues with abusing opiates in the past, including pain pills. So I have very little doubt whatsoever that I will, at some point soon, get back to a regimen of just taking it a few times a day. It won't be the extracts this time, I will tell you that. It'll be the powder. But yeah, I've already considered that, man. My life is so much better and so much richer and fuller, and my mood is so much better, and you know, everything with Kratom, as long as I am taking it responsibly, just a few times a day, you know. And I think Kratom is one of those things that if you just have no filter whatsoever and you're shoving it in your mouth every hour on the hour, or as soon as you stop feeling that major euphoria, you're just like, oh, I gotta take more Kratom. I take more Kratom, you know. If you can avoid using it in that way, you know, I think it's no different than somebody who has an issue with depression and anxiety, you know, taking a Xanax throughout the day, or somebody who has Wellbutrin or takes Wellbutrin once a day for, well, no, it is different. It's different in the sense of the addiction, the addiction drawing you back. But if you're a person that's able to dose on it, then what difference is that than someone who experiences chronic pain and has to take a Vicodin 3 or 4 times a day? But they only do it 3 or 4 times a day. They don't go extra. They don't go overboard. You know, it can be said that the mental aspect, yeah, but you're addicted. It keeps drawing you back. Yeah, you know, but if you're okay with that and you're otherwise a healthy individual, then, you know, I'd rather medicate myself 3 times a day than to have some doctor give me Wellbutrin or Zoloft. Sorry, I just would. I know myself way better than any doctor knows me. This is the last one, then I gotta go. Well, no, I wanted to say this. I got a response today at MME123EE says, is there a rough anecdotal amount of time after coming off of Kratom until your libido comes roaring back? Anyone? Days, weeks after last dose? At just a guy on my lunch break. Thank you for that. Yeah, he was asking this comment based on the video I did a few days ago about it affecting your libido. For me, man, it was somewhere around about 5 to 7 days. The first couple of days, I did notice it kind of starting to come back, but it was one of those where when I did a cold turkey, I wasn't feeling all that great, if that makes sense. And, you know, although my libido started coming back a little sooner than 5 to 7 days, at the same time, it was one of those where I didn't feel that great because I was in withdrawal, right? So I guess I didn't make that connection of, oh, well, I want to have sex, because I didn't feel good. You don't feel like having sex. You don't feel very sexy, you know, and when you're in withdrawal. But at that 5 to 7 day mark, when a lot of the physical or the more acute physical symptoms kind of started to subside, for me, man, it switched back on, brother. It switched back on. And I'm a 47-year-old guy. Well, I was 46 at that time that I'm talking about. But, you know, so for me, I don't have a roaring sex drive like a 25-year-old or like I did when I was 25 or 30. And it still was like a light switch. It's like somebody went and flipped. These freaking sound effects I do, man. Oh, man. Yeah, for me, it absolutely was just like a switch that somebody flipped back on. And I became, not only my libido came back, but also straight horny. And it was all I could think about. And this happened for me around 5 to 7 days. If you guys out there have an answer for that as well, I think it varies. I think it depends on how much you were taking, how heavy of a user you were, and how long you've been taking it, and your age, a lot of other factors, whether you're sedentary, whether you're exercise, all of these things affect all of this stuff that we're talking about. Kratom use, libido, what it's going to be like when you come off of Kratom, all that stuff. It's all relative, right? You hear me say that on here all the time. But if you guys have an answer for that as well, what was your experience in your libido coming back after quitting Kratom? Let MME123EE know what your answer is on that. All right, guys, I gotta go. Love you. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment and let me know where you're at in your story, and like the video as well. I will see you next time. All right, peace.